It's time for the Film Crickets with Jay Fortier, Chris Martineau, and Melanie Howerton. On this week's episode, I fill in for Chris, and Melanie's daughter Emma joins us, and we review the 1997 American spy comedy film, Austin Powers, International Man of Mystery.
Oh, behave. Yeah. Yeah, baby. Yeah.
Does it stand the test of time? Let's find out. Your Film Crickets are on now.
All right. Hey, friends. My name is Jay Fortier, and I am along with my good friend Melanie Howerton. How you doing, Melanie?
Good. How are you guys doing today?
All right. Welcome to the Film Crickets. Chris Martineau is not here today. And if you want to know what the Film Crickets are, we are a podcast that basically takes a movie from 1980 all the way up to 1999, one movie per week, and we decide whether or not that movie holds the test of time. Well, once again, we are joined by our good friend Steve Lavoie. Steve?
What's going on, guys?
Hey, Steve.
Hey, welcome again. He also does our intros and the voices that you hear in the different segments of the show. Mm-hmm. And once again, but for a different role this time, we have Emma Howerton, and it's Melanie's daughter, and we are excited to have her because this is one of her favorites. I don't want to say it's her favorite, but it's up there.
Hi, yeah.
It is Austin Powers, so welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. This will be fun. It's one of those movies I saw. Hey, let's get right to it. You know, when we saw it, or how it affected us, or how often we've seen it. I saw it. I think I saw it in the theater. I don't know. It's one of those that's kind of a blur. I know one thing. When I did see it, I thought it was awesome, and I really had a lot of fun with it. And we bought it quickly after we watched it and watched it a bunch of times. I think I lost it somewhere along the lines, like you lose stuff. Like what the hell happened to that DVD? Or maybe we bought it on tape. Maybe that's what happened. I don't know. I think it was DVD though. Either way, it's just one of those. It was so original. So it's I had not seen it in a while, but this, out of all of the three, is my favorite. Who wants to go next?
Go to Emma.
Okay, well,
all right.
I grew up watching it, which is weird because of what the movie is, but every single time there was I just remember being little, and every single time there was a birthday or something at my house, it was just always on in the background, and I just remember. So the wholesome
entertainment was happening.
Yes. I just remember growing up watching it, and then a year ago, I got back into it. I've always watched it, but a year ago, for a month straight, I kept watching the three of them, and then, so I've always liked the movies a lot. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Let's go with Melanie.
I don't remember the first time I ever saw it, but I just always remember just watching it, and then I knew that the kids would like it, so started getting them into it. Obviously, she grew up with me, so that's why it was always on in the house. And then I bought them for her. I think it was one of the Christmases I bought them for her.
Yeah.
Yeah, on DVD.
So. Yeah.
Is it one of those movies that you guys quote all the time to each other, or what?
Not really.
Not really.
Yeah.
If I say something from it, I usually don't say it to my mom.
Yeah.
Right.
Because my boyfriend watch them. Yeah.
Yeah, there's certain movies that we have quotes
it's me
from.
And him.
Yeah, it's not this one, and they actually dressed up. Yeah, she was a fembot, and he was Austin Powers for their first Halloween together.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. What about you,
awesome.
Steve?
Well, I do have to ask a question. I'm going to throw it out there right now. Growing up as a kid, watching shows, watching the Dukes of Hazzard, I wanted a General Lee. Watching Airwolf, I wanted a helicopter. Watching this as a kid, were you asking every year for a Swedish penis pump? I just got to know.
Well,
I don't think personally I was. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good.
Being girls, no, we weren't.
Okay. All right. Just throwing it out there. Yeah.
You'd have to ask that to a young kid, I guess. That was a boy.
Yeah.
No, but I first time I watched it, honestly, I think it just come out, and I was watching this going, I think this might have been the first DVD that we rented. I was watching it. It was my brother, myself, and a friend. We had just moved into a house, and Friday nights was like blockbuster night, and they're like, "Hey, we got this movie called Austin Powers," and I'm like, "Oh, I never heard of it." But it was right around the time where I was watching SNL more than I ever have, So it was, I knew of Mike Meyers, and so I'm like, "Oh, cool, all right." And we started watching it, and instantly, it was funny. It was the type of humor I was into. It's the type of movie where there's a lot of lines that you might not catch the first time, but it's one of those where you don't have to overthink the movie. You just sit back, relax, and laugh. It wasn't like one of those some of these movies that is too serious. It's like, I don't know, you almost have to have some sort of like master's degree to watch them. You're like, what happened now? What did I miss? What did they say? Who's the criminal? It's just too much. Like it's overload. Like this is just one of those, grab a beer, some popcorn, and just laugh, and that was one of these movies. So that's, I always remember the first time kind of watching it. And I don't usually remember the first time watching a movie. When you guys ask that question, it's always like, I don't know when the hell I watched this. But that one, for some reason, maybe because it was, I think, on DVD and it was something new, it was like, oh, cool, all right, let's check it out. But yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's really good. Like you said, it's like you can just sit back and you're going to laugh. I mean, like literally every single line and the facial expressions that come from Mike Myers, and it's just hilarious. His son, like everything. I just don't see how you could watch this and not just crack up the entire movie. It's just a feel good movie. And like Jay said, number one's my favorite as well.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, it upsets me because this one seems to get glossed over the most. Everybody seems to, like, every time one is airing, it's usually 2 or 3 airing somewhere.
Yeah, you're
like
right,
on TV.
though. Yeah.
I mean, I usually
it's like, why is this the forgotten one?
Yeah.
With that?
Well, the second
I usually see
funny.
the second one, like whenever I see it on or something, it's usually the second one.
Mm-hmm.
But
as fine as that may be, I don't think it's better than this at all.
No.
Like, I mean, so like, I don't know why that one gets all the attention. Maybe because of Mini-Me.
Oh,
maybe,
yeah.
Mini-Me's awesome.
Well, I was going to say, honestly, I think I've seen 2 more than I've seen 1, and probably because it's been just on more on television. But I do like the Mini-Me, and I thought that really brought out a lot of fun to the movie. And obviously the jokes are like the same as the first, just a little different, but it was the same type of humor. That it was kind of like a run-on of the first. So I don't know. I do like the second one a lot, but obviously the first one's pretty good too.
Yeah.
Well, what's so good about the first is the fish out of water aspect. Anybody thrust forward, 30 years into the future would be lost. I mean, I'm already lost sometimes, and like with some of today's people, I'm like, what?
And the beginning is hilarious. Oh my god, when they're like de-thawing him and everything, they're like, warm liquid goo phase, evacuation complete, and then like the computer cannot say complete. She tries to say it like 1,000 times because he keeps peeing, and you can see his ankles and his feet underneath that thing, and he has to lean over on the wall.
Yeah, he's there for so long. Yeah. He's tired.
That cracks me up every time I watch that. I love that whole beginning of it. It's so funny.
I don't know what it would be like, though, to be frozen. Like, so obviously, I think Walt Disney is frozen. I don't know what it would be like to be frozen, and then if they unthaw you and you come back to life years later, that's got to be a trip. It really is. It's got to be like, I mean, that was 30 years. And by the way, now to then, right? We're almost 60 years from the late 60s, from when they were talking about when he got frozen. So I mean, it would just be wacky. I don't, and so that was kind of a trip with just 30 years. Could you imagine being 60 years later? Just it's just
and
weird.
It's like, it's huge things. It's not just like, I mean, not too much has changed in the 2000s compared to if you look at the decades of the 60s to the 70s to the 80s to the 90s, like huge things. I mean, we're in the 50s, there, like segregation and people landing on the moon and color TVs and cell phones and just huge things that were just not there before when he was frozen. There's so much technology now. I think that if you were frozen now and then got unfrozen in 20 years, I don't think there would be that huge of a difference compared to be frozen in the 60s. And then, those are huge decades where there was a lot of change.
Right. And you can even tell that when he is unfrozen and he's talking to the guards and he sees that one of them are Russian and he's like, "Oh, hi, comrade."
Yeah.
And talks about capitalist pigs and he's like, "Oh, Austin, we won." And he's like, "Oh, capitalism, yay." He totally misses that the whole war is over and everything. Like stuff like that. Just big things, yeah.
Yeah.
I like him going through the list of people.
Dead.
Jimi Hendrix.
Alcohol, drugs.
Drugs. Yeah. Mama Cass, ham sandwich.
Yeah.
Just wow.
Or how about when she was like, "Mr. Powers, my job is to, kind of get you used to the 90s, and a lot has changed since 1967. He goes, "No doubt, love, but as long as people are still having promiscuous sex with many anonymous partners without any protection, while at the same time experimenting with mind-expanding drugs, with a consequence-free environment, I'll be sound as a pound." And she's just looking at him like, okay. Yeah. And I was telling my daughter, I'm like, my God, it was really like that back then. That's insane. How the 60s were crazy.
Yeah.
And just to think, that's when our grandparents were around and our parents.
Well, they obviously had STDs back then, but I think what really put really kind of putting a lid on that was AIDS, right? AIDS was such a huge thing coming out of the early 80s that's when it really took a hook. And it was like, all right, that whole free love thing kind of went away as much as it, that was the 60s, the sexual revolution. So, all they worried about back then was maybe crabs or clap or something. It wasn't as bad.
Jesus Christ.
I forget a few.
No, it's just
all bad stuff, but usually with a shot of penicillin, it went away, right? But then AIDS came out, and it was like, okay, this is a whole new game, and I think that kind of put a stop to a lot of that, I would say.
Oh, yeah.
And
all the mind-altering drugs that everyone just freely took off, and it was just fine. People were just so into. Now it's like if somebody was going to do drugs or something, I would think they would kind of keep it on the down low. Before it was like, hey, it was just like the thing to do. Let's just come over to the side of my lawn here and let's just all have orgies and do 10,000 things of drugs. And it was just perfectly acceptable. I can't. Then I said to my daughter, I'm like, that's why we're all screwed up. This was our parents and grandparents.
It was definitely the gateway. Woodstock was right around the time that he got frozen, right? So Woodstock was 69. I think he got frozen around 67.
You know what I like?
So
what?
I like that he get frozen with his glasses on.
Did he?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
was he in there with
you see him, you see him frozen with his glasses, and he gets thawed out with his glasses on. I just think it's
funny.
what a weird thing to happen. They'd be stuck to his skin.
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta wonder how they do that though. How would they freeze someone without losing your skin? You freeze chicken in the freezer. After a while, you just can't have it anymore, right? It's, it's like, so it's freezer burn, right? So I don't know how the hell they do that. It's like, and how long you can possibly be frozen. To think that part of the movie is actually real, right? So it's like, there's a lot of stuff when we watch movies like, oh, that doesn't happen, but people are being frozen.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You see, Vanilla Ice was in there too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was funny. Maybe they freeze them in some sort of a liquid goo.
No, they warm them up with it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, maybe they're freezing them with some sort of liquid goo to keep their skin soft. I don't know.
They're like a giant hot pocket,
Yeah. Something that maybe they're just full of Aquaphor in there first or something.
They just lube them up real good and then put them in the ice chamber, and they're like, "All right, you're good to go."
Yeah.
Crazy stuff.
No air can get in there. Put a lot of tin foil, and keep it fresh for a while. I don't know.
No, the visuals were good. I love the joke with how the cat used to be a big fluffy cat.
Oh my God, I love that.
Makes cats, and he's all shaky.
Yeah. He was a Persian, and now he's.
By the way,
Yeah.
forgive me if you're going to talk about this during TMI,
Yeah.
but Dr. Evil is based on Lorne Michaels.
Which I didn't know that, by the way.
Yeah, I have that down. Well, also too, it was not. It was. I'll go on to that after, but it was based off of her character, but it was also based off of you're gonna die when you find out. Like, I don't know if you already know, like the actual like person that they took that from too. That wasn't a James Bond movie.
We'll save it. Though.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I love at the beginning, and I did write this down. Oh my God, Will Ferrell, because you had said wasn't that his first film debut? But that was so funny when he was like, "Someone help me! I'm still alive, only I'm very badly burned." and then later on, like he's on the phone, he goes, he's trying to talk to everybody having a meeting. Some of you I know, some of you I've not met. And then he goes, and he's still screaming in the background. He goes, "Excuse me. Yes, he's down there. No, not dead. Burned badly." That was so funny.
I thought that was a great scene, and that's one where they kind of did that again in the second movie, right? Where the guy falls down the cliff and he goes, hold on, I got to check my leg. Yeah, I think it's broken. Oh, yeah, it's definitely broken.
Yes.
Yeah, so they kind of
Yeah.
they
Yeah, it was him
redid
again.
that a little bit, yeah. But but it's
so
fun.
funny.
It was Will
right.
Ferrell again.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
Yeah, he was the same character in both. He was the one that went down and I guess
Yeah.
in part two, like it's if you repeat the same question 3 times, I have to answer it because I just can't take listening
That's
to the same
right.
question.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was actually kind of funny.
That's
But I just love the hello, like the way he's yelling. He's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I'm in a lot of pain.
Yeah.
I'm very badly burned.
Now,
It's just I don't know, just really cool.
were you
That's funny, that was his
surprised
first movie.
that Dana Carvey didn't have a role in this movie? Like, so obviously we knew these characters a little bit from SNL, and we had Wayne's World that had come out just a few years before that, right? Was that 94? I think was Wayne's World. So a few years before that, were you surprised that he
Well, the
wasn't
first
in
one
it?
was earlier.
Like, were you just surprised there weren't more? Like, especially Dana Carvey being kind of his partner in a lot of those films and on SNL.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I know Colin Quinn was offered the role of Scott Evil, but he turned it down because he was doing a lot of writing projects. But yeah, that's kind of weird.
That would have made him. That would have been weird being like a lot older of a son.
Yeah. Yeah, I loved who they picked for that. I thought he was so good.
No, yeah, he's so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it. I'm hip. I'm cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
And
was
he
funny.
chases him around like this, like, don't look at me like I'm Frankenstein. And like, that's exactly what he's acting like. And he's
Yeah.
like, no, I don't want to
The scars on
hug
his face.
you. Yeah.
And that was the Macarena, right? Is that what he was doing?
Yeah.
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 So I
Yeah.
mean, Jay and I have nightmares about the Macarena after DJing so many weddings back in the 90s.
I
I
used
don't
to
know
love
about you,
going
Jay.
out
But,
dancing with that.
oh my God! But it was like we used to watch and like, oh, they want to do the Macarena. Oh crap! You know, like really, it was like, oh, here we go. It's gonna be one of those bunches. But it was such. I mean, such a hit. It was huge. Whoever came up with that. I mean,
Yeah. That was funny. Because it wasn't country line dancing. It was something that was like in style at the time when you could go to a club and then everybody could get together
What?
and you just wanted to run up there and do it.
And it was after like the electric slide had faded. Like like nobody cared anymore. So like cool is something else we like.
Yeah.
Um.
Yeah.
but it reeks.
Well,
90s,
no. See,
doesn't it?
and
Like, is it one of those things? Like, if you
Right.
had to bury something in a '90s chest, like one of those timepieces,
Oh,
wouldn't
yeah.
the Macarena be
Macarena,
in
yeah.
that chest? Like, it's just so '90s.
especially in Rhode Island, because Rhode Island had like the record for the amount of times it was played on radio.
Wow.
Like at the time, it was like it played it the most
That's funny.
for some reason. I know.
I believe it.
But yeah, no. This obviously the guy who's plays number 2. They have Rob Lowe play him in the second one. But that's a whole funny thing when he goes to the into the toilet. And then he's like saying, "Who does number 2 work for?" And Tom Arnold's in the next stall. Like Tom Arnold is so funny sometimes.
is.
Like like the guy gets like the guy kind of gets made fun of. Like he came into the scene like became a lot more popular when he married Roseanne, and then like became sort of like this star as a result. But he really has some really funny stuff.
I
He
think
was
he's
funny in
funny.
True Lies.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good.
like remember
I
in
like
True
him.
Lies, he was really great.
And there was another scene in
And,
True Lies that was in the toilet area as well.
I forget.
But it's
Yeah.
one of those things that
With him?
after you watched a movie, like I don't know about you, but I remember my buddies and I would go into some of the stalls and we would actually ask for a courtesy flush. You know, it's just one of those things. Like it was just so much fun. You know, it's like, oh hey, just like the movie. You know, it's just one of those things where you can't laugh.
How about this?
You know, you just think about the movie and
When he
just an everyday situation.
Yeah.
when he walks into the men's room, you didn't happen to see, and he sees a blind man. He goes, anything at all.
Yeah.
He's awesome.
Yeah, I just when we were watching it, I just pointed that out to my mom, and I was like, "Oh, this is really good. Hey, like this is a good scene."
Yeah.
And then
Everything
especially
is
when,
good.
no, yeah, and then especially then when Austin comes out of the stall, and the cowboy guy sees him, and he's like, "Man, what did you eat?" And sees the body in the toilet, like.
I will say one.
Not even phased.
One of my
Yeah.
weirdest bathroom moments, though, Jay, it's got to be at your wedding. When
Oh
you
my God.
do you remember the guy at your wedding who was in the bathroom? He was like handing out towels. I don't know if you remember.
Well,
So I
mean,
just remember,
I
and
kinda remember that there was one. But
there was a guy in your bathroom handing out towels, and he sat there and he was doing like this. He was doing his clapping thing, and it was so rhythmic. But I mean, it was the weirdest thing trying to go to the bathroom and having this guy just sit there and clap. So I remember going back to the table and telling all the guys, like, hey, if you haven't been to the bathroom yet, you got to check it out. You know, I don't know if he's doing requests, I'm not sure, but he had this rhythmic clapping going on, and it was something else. So I just, every time
When you walk up to him.
your wedding, I think of the bathroom clapper.
do you know any Zeppelin? Like,
How about a little black dog?
what?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, it was odd, but
I was gonna say this for the trivia part, but I think this is just so funny. Was that he wrote this script, and I'll go on it in like about 2 weeks, but a lot of it was not used. Like he said that 30 to 40% of this movie was completely improvised while they were doing it, and that whole with Mike Meyers going back and forth with Seth Green was just completely all ad-libbed. And then when that guy was like, everybody's always after my Lucky Charms, and then she goes on and on, like Frau or whatever her name is, she goes on and on about the Lucky Charms commercials and trying to explain it to him. She just ad-libbed that entire thing. Like that wasn't even the script. So to have a movie where you have such good actors and actresses that 30 to 40% of this is ad-libbed and came out as good as it did is just amazing to me. And Mike Meyers said this was his favorite performance of anything that he's ever done. So.
but it's what they do,
Good,
right?
Yeah.
I mean, isn't that what they do? They're SNL cast members all week long. They're just kind of probably going back and forth and just having fun with it. I don't think a lot of SNL is scripted. I don't believe.
Yeah.
So it was just kind of like what they did, and that's cool because you're letting them be what they are. They're talented people, and they're just coming out with stuff, and it's like, hey, listen, if it's not good, we'll cut it, but if it's good, let it roll, and that sometimes that's the best way to act.
Yeah.
I agree. Like especially with the Lucky Charm scene. Like if that wasn't there, like that entire interaction wouldn't have been as funny. Like that just it added so much to the movie.
Well, then he's trying to come around the toilet. He's got this tiny little bracelet this big, and he's trying to strangle somebody.
Yeah, right.
Okay. I was like, I was telling him, I'm like, how does he think he's going to strangle somebody with like, it's like taking off an ankle bracelet and being like, I'm going to choke you with this. Okay. Sure you go.
And he's sitting there like
I'm gonna
this. Like,
stuff it down your throat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she was just so funny how she was like literally trying to, and everything he's always saying, everyone's always after my Lucky Charms, and trying to explain the commercials, and all the kids are so happy trying to get the cereal or whatever. I don't know what she was saying, but she just added the whole thing, and nobody said anything, and she just kind of looked down like she was just embarrassed about that she talked too much, But everybody in there, I forgot who they said who was supposed to be her. But I can't imagine anybody else taking that place. She was so cute.
The
in it.
screaming.
right. And like
How
she
great
did
was the
so
screaming?
good.
Oh yes! Every time she screamed, I was saying that to Emma. Dr. Evil just jumped like literally every single time.
Yeah.
Ben bots her, Scott, and she's screaming.
Yeah.
Wouldn't I mean, Thanksgiving's right around the corner. Wouldn't you like to have his setup where you can just hit a button and someone's at the Thanksgiving table and you could just hit it and their chair disappears and they go like into the depths of hell? Like, wouldn't that be fun? I don't know. I'm just saying.
I can think of a few occasions that would be fun, but I don't know if I'd want to get rid of my Thanksgiving guests.
So you didn't like the potatoes, huh?
anymore.
Yeah.
People tend
The
to
stuffing
disappear.
wasn't quite right. Hold on. I got your.
That's funny. Oh, I love
Just smile the whole time.
Yeah. I love the there's so many funny parts. Dr. Evil to me is like a little child. He's like a 5-year-old. He's like it's like his facial expressions that he makes, and when he doesn't get his own way and he'll get all upset and pout or whatever, but I love how like every other word is like frickin' all the time.
Yeah.
And
He's always aggravated.
oh, he's so funny. But he was like and I think I don't want to say this because I don't know if there's other people that would the outfit that he was literally wearing in this whole movie, I remember when that whole Johnny Depp Amber Heard case was on, because she had an outfit that looked exactly like that. So,
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that Amber Heard was borrowing Dr. Evil's clothes. But it was literally like it looked exactly like that. Anywho, but one of the funniest parts was when he was saying he was like talking about how he wanted the sharks with the laser beams on him. And then he was like, okay, about that, Dr. Evil, about the sharks. When you were frozen, the sharks were put on the endangered species list. He's like, so we tried to get some, but that would have taken months to clean up the red tape. So, and he goes, I had one simple request, and that is to have sharks with freaking laser beams attached to their heads. And then he's like, and now evidently that my psychotic colleague is informing me that that can't be done. And can you remind me of what I am paying you people for? Honestly, throw me a bone here.
I would have to say that, like, did he reinvent the air quotes, or is it me? Like, after that movie, air quotes were a lot of fun, right?
Yeah.
It was just so much funny just with the air quotes.
Yeah, totally, 100% right.
I mean, like, it's funny, too, because I like, we were talking earlier about how Austin was a fish out of water, didn't know what he was doing. Somebody could say, oh, well, you wouldn't have a movie where a guy's falling on top of a girl, like, on purpose, to get her to be with him. But I think it's also, I mean, you can get away with it because he thought it was okay from 1960 something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Right. But then at the same time, you see him in the scene in the hotel room, and she's all drunk, and she's like, Austin, make out with me. And she's like, no, darling, you're drunk. I'm not, like, that's wrong. Like, so he's also, like, respectful at the same time, Like, it's this weird balance of he's, like, overly, like, I don't know, like, letting his libido, like, just control everything that he's saying, but at the same time, he knows what is, like right and wrong.
Yeah.
When it comes to stuff like that, too.
And then...
Yeah, he's like, I can't. It's not right.
Yeah.
Right. Which
he's
is great.
Good
It's
person.
awesome.
Yeah, he's a good person.
It's important that they put that there, because then it would be like, people could, even though it's a joke, have their way just destroying it. So you put it in there, and it balances everything. But what is also funny, though, is you can't help, and neither can she, help but to laugh when he turns the bed on and it's spinning and he keeps turning back.
Yeah.
And,
you see her in the chair laughing at him. And
right.
Like, yeah.
Where she turns around and she's like,
am I the only one, though, that thought his chest hair looked like the Queensryche symbol? Like, didn't it? Like, if you looked at it the way...
I think so.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm the only one. Maybe it's me. I saw it. I'm like, Queensryche? Like, wow, what a diehard fan that Austin Powers is. But, I mean, how wild was his chest hair? It was fun.
Oh, I loved it. It was like a huge bear sitting on his chest and stomach. It was so funny. And it's kind of funny to think that was such in style back then. Like when you look at like Tom Selleck and stuff and how hairy he was, and girls were like, oh, that's so dreamy back then. Like, I don't know. I remember just in my days, I didn't like that. And like, it's such a huge thing back then. And then also like with the British people, just, spoof on them having like bad teeth and and everything back then. It was acceptable, but that is such a true thing. I was talking to a client at work, and I was talking about how like, people from different countries are just so gorgeous. I'm like, white girls sometimes we get the shit end of the stick because we don't age as good as other people, and other people from different countries age so good, and they just don't age, and they just look amazing. And she's like, I don't know. She goes, I'm here with my friend who's British, and I can tell you right now, they don't age good, and they are not good-looking people. And she went on, and she's just making fun of her friend that was British, and I was like, what? And I was like, I never thought of that before. And she goes, yeah, they have really bad teeth. And she went on, and I was like, oh my God. It was just the funniest thing that she was saying that. She's like, their hair, their no hair, bad teeth, yellow teeth. And she was going on, and I was like, that's funny, because she's an older lady, and she was there with her older British friend, and I thought that was hilarious. She just reminded me of like Austin Powers the whole time.
That her friend is British.
The views and comments from Melanie's friend do not represent those of the film cricket.
No, this is
please disregard.
This is from a client who came to my work with a British friend, and she was going on and on.
The view of Steve Lavoie does not represent
you didn't even let me
the film.
Like, listen, I'm going to tell you. It's like you watch those commercials of like, was it Oil of Olay or whatever the hell that stuff is. Listen, I don't care what you think. You are not going to look 20 by using that product. Like they go, oh, look at this. And, because, listen, there are different races and cultures where they can age gracefully. Americans look really good, I think, at first. I don't know if we age as gracefully. I'm not sure how that all works. I'm still working on that. But, I agree with you. Right? I mean, and I think that joke came from somewhere. They didn't just make it up and go, I think British have bad teeth. No, I think they probably do. And that's probably why that was like a funny joke for him. And obviously that was like between the glasses, the chest hair, and his teeth. I think that was, and his wardrobe, that was Austin Powers. And I was going to ask you, obviously played by the same person, Michael Myers, which I thought was a little weird because it's Melanie's favorite character in real life is the real Michael Myers. Which Michael Myers do you like the most?
Well, except because by Mike.
Yes, but that is just a weird, and by the way, I didn't know this growing up when I saw Halloween, but Mike Myers is actually a pretty common name, and I never realized that. Yeah. There are a lot of Mike or Michael Myers out there. Yeah. It's a real common name. But yeah, I mean, so I was going to ask you, what did you like better, like either character-wise or how he did it? Did you like Austin Powers better, or did you like Dr. Evil better? Who was your favorite character? I'll start with Emma because it's her favorite movie. Which one did you like more?
I think the scenes with Dr. Evil are more funny just because of the way he presents himself. Like, again, what my mom was saying, she was like, he just looks like this like 5-year-old, and it's true because like she yells and he jumps, or like he's constantly like doing like this or whatever, and like and especially like when he's getting shot at the end, he's like crawling all over the floor like ow, 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 open the freaking door. Like,
that was hilarious.
He's so funny in that role. Like that role allows for a lot of like comedic, like, I don't know, just a lot of opportunity with comedy. Mm-hmm. And he just does it so well. Like it's so well done for Dr. Evil. And Austin Powers too, obviously. He does amazing for both, but I think Dr. Evil is more of a like comedic character than Austin Powers is.
I agree because I mean I love both of them, but like I feel like I like laugh a little bit more with Dr. Evil's facial expressions and just the stupid stuff that he says because he's so out of touch with the real world. And then he's so used to having like everything done for him. And if he doesn't like his way, where he's just going to insinuate, it's light them on fire, just have their chair tip over and like light them on fire if he aggravates them or something. But he's so funny. It's everything. Even when they went to like the counseling with him and his son and all the stuff that he was saying in there, like he's so out of touch with everything. He did such a good job with that character. Both characters are amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jay,
I think you get a little more laughs with Dr. Evil.
All right, so I probably lean more towards Austin, but Dr. Evil's great. So, like, I mean, I don't want to like make it sound like anything's bad about it. He's great.
Yeah.
I think what I like about Austin is the vocal tones. I'm a big fan sometimes of certain ways people deliver lines and certain tones that, and even pronunciations of stuff. Like, for instance, I like how a lot of times, as Austin, his L's are W's. For instance, like, my wedding tattoo.
Oh,
Like-
yeah.
like-
yeah.
Right. The way he talks is hilarious.
Like, it's just like stuff like,
Yeah.
Josh, and that's just one example of many. I just can't
Yeah.
think of others. But it's just, like, I do love those things, and it's just like, I don't know. I just love the way it's a different character. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just the vocal tones and the accent, and, he does, like, he doesn't stay in one, he does really high a lot,
Yeah.
like, but then he'll lower it down. Like, like there's
Yeah.
other things that where he's like just a little chill, and it's just great. And by the way, my favorite scene, it's meant to be funny because she's laughing in the scene, is when he's doing the fake stairs and the elevator and the canoe
Yeah.
Yes.
behind the couch.
Yeah.
I love that. I just think it's because if he's not a great gifted physical comic,
Yeah.
that's not funny.
Oh, he's
Right.
And that is
amazing.
genius.
That is
He's so
hard to try to
good.
choose from either one of them. And that one of those scenes with the escalator and the elevator or whatever, that's from, I think, the SNL skit when he was doing Wayne's World.
What makes the elevator and the escalator best is that he looks at his watch.
Yeah, I know. I like
Right,
that.
yeah.
Like he's trying to make it more realistic. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got somewhere to go.
Like, as he's going there.
Yeah.
Or again, since like I grew up with these movies, I remember always watching them really young. I do remember like vividly trying to do that behind the couch to my dad. I was trying to do the elevator and the stair thing. I did not do it very well, but I was like, it was just so good, Like I remember doing that.
Yeah, I remember you guys doing that.
And the canoe.
Yeah, I
The
don't think
canoe
I
is so
attempted the
smooth.
canoe, but the canoe
Yeah.
he did
Right.
such a good job. But I don't think I attempted it, but he did really good. Like I just don't get how he does it so smoothly. Like
I know. I
it's
feel like
just
he's got something
so
gliding back
smooth.
there. Something. I don't know.
right?
He's too
Like-
good at it. I don't see how he can do it that good.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember a character he did called Simon back in SNL?
I don't know.
So I think, and I'm pretty sure Simon was based on a little kid's show or something. I could be wrong, but he was basically like a little child who was taking a bath on SNL. So like he would like draw like on the wall or whatever. He's like the theme song was like, "Hello, my name is Simon.
I do remember that theme
Oh,
song.
that
That's
sounds
right.
familiar.
Do drawing."
Yeah.
No,
Right?
wasn't
And
there?
he'd be like,
Well-
"Hello," right? And he'd be like talking. He's like, "Are you looking at my bum? You bum looker."
That sounds familiar.
Like-
But wasn't that
Just, like, say
like off of something else? Like, wasn't it? My name is Simon, and things I draw come true. Is
Right.
It? Yeah. I
I'm
remember
pretty
the
sure.
song.
Like it was
but-
based off a child's show.
Okay, so he okay. I remember the other Simon. Yeah, okay. So he kind of made fun of
Right, and
a
he would-
spoof of that. Okay,
Right.
I don't remember him doing that.
I mean, it was funny. Like you just saw like a shirtless guy like under like and you see a tub, and then he'd have a guest. So the funniest one was that he had Macaulay Culkin. Like when Macaulay Culkin had just done like Home Alone 2,
my
right?
God.
So like you got this little kid next to him,
And they're
It's,
both
like,
in the tub?
shirtless in the tub. Yeah, it's
Oh,
just I mean,
pretty funny.
that's the point. You're laughing like, oh my god, that's so wrong.
Yeah.
But Mike Myers can pull it off because it's funny. He lived in England a while, so like that's probably like another part of his fascination.
I was gonna say, doesn't he have
have
an
some stuff
English
on that.
accent like normally? If he was to talk in an interview,
No.
Well, he was from Canada, I guess.
Yeah. I got stuff
Originally,
on that.
and,
Yeah, he doesn't have an English accent. But yeah, his parents lived in Liverpool when they were younger. I have a little bit of stuff on like why he loves British comedy and stuff like that. What about the part in the beginning where like Dr. Evil's talking about, oh, we should, talk about like trying to put a laser into the ozone and like, and more people are going to start getting like skin cancer and all that. And he's like, that's already been done. Like every single thing that he talks about has already been done, or how like, Prince Charles is going to have an affair. That's already been done, and he's like, so finally he goes, that's also already happened. He goes, well, shit. And he goes, okay, well, whatever. Let's just do what we always do. like, and he starts talking about his like evil plan or whatever. But
holding the world hostage and blowing up the world and everything. Yeah.
They never said where he was from, correct? Like he was frozen also, but did they ever say where he was from? Obviously, Austin Powers was British, but Dr. Evil was
Belgian parents or something. Didn't he say something?
Yeah,
Belgian?
he's Belgian. It goes more into it in the like third one,
Therapy.
I think.
Oh, okay.
But in therapy, yeah. But in the third one, it goes a lot more into his backstory. But yeah, I think he is Belgian, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
I do like watching him try to kick the crap out of people in on the Jerry Springer show in, what was it, part 2 or something?
Yes. Oh my god, that
God.
was so funny. No, that was that's
Because
a really
like
good
they
scene.
do the typical bleeping,
Yeah.
like you're like your mother, and you just hear all these beeps and like you're like, and he's like the way he's like he's good they must have put some like stuff in his like
padding,
shirt
yeah.
because
right,
his
his
well because
posture
his
just seems so like good and stiff,
Yeah.
And so then when he's running around, it's
torso.
really funny.
Yeah.
it's like a barrel almost is
Right?
in there.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah, in the front for sure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
yeah, it's so round.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
And then watching him try to kick the crap out of people, like just great.
Yeah.
we can't not talk about the sausage part and the all of when they're in the apartment, because that scene was just so thought out, and it is just so much fun when he's on the phone and she's walking
And
around
why would
the
like
apartment. It's just,
why would she blowing
he
up
is
a
walking.
balloon?
He's walking
Oh,
around
I
the apartment.
know.
Yeah.
Why is she
Yeah,
blowing
and
up
then
a
she
balloon?
does it
That's
again.
so weird.
She does that at the end too. Yeah.
At the end,
They
blowing
both
up
do
the
it
balloon.
then.
It's just funny.
Yeah.
It really is. I mean, you know what? It was, but see now.
It's a smiley face.
Now, as a kid watching that, you probably wouldn't even know the humor of it, right? So it's like innocent kind of humor in a way, almost like the Simpsons type of humor. It's, I don't know if it's as in your face as, I mean, I thought it's one of those things that maybe you don't get when you're younger, and then as you're older, go, oh, that's what that meant. That's what it is. Okay, now I get it.
Yeah.
So like even the sausage thing, maybe you wouldn't get that, right?
They almost had to do an R rating because of that whole scene. I have some stuff on there, but they had to like cut a bunch of stuff out of it, so they didn't get that R rating because they didn't want the R rating. A couple
Sure.
parts that I thought was funny is when that guy, when Elizabeth Hurley and Mike Meyers is on that big rolling thing that's going super slow, and he's like trying to say he's going as fast as he can. There's this guy standing there going the whole time. He's
They're
like
not
a
even
mile
near him.
away.
Yeah, they're like
Slow, he
so
doesn't
far
move.
away, and he doesn't move. Yeah,
He
that's
doesn't
really
move
funny.
at all.
It's almost Naked Gun-esque.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say
It's
they
like
did
Naked
that
Gun.
Naked Gun. There was a scene in
Yeah.
Naked Gun where they did the same thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
where
that's
someone got
so
run
funny.
over. Yeah.
Or when Elizabeth Hurley goes up the ladder and he's trying to get away on this other little thing, and he keeps trying to back up and go forward and back up and go forward.
Oh, with the machine.
Yeah.
And the hallway
That was
gets
so-
narrower and narrower. Like it's like it wasn't that bad at the beginning. Now you see him, it's like, what the hell? Like, oh yeah, he's like
Right.
just stuck. Anyone that's tried parallel parking in the city knows exactly what that's like. That's
for sure.
definitely
And even-
tough. Without the cameras, we're just so privileged now. And
Yeah. Well, Emma says she feels like that trying to get into our garage.
oh,
Yeah, I drive a Challenger, so I basically have a boat that I'm trying to park in the garage, and my sister cannot park for the life of her, and so it's really hard for me to try to get into the garage, and I just constantly have to like pull up and then pull back and then pull up and pull back, and I was like, yeah,
funny.
I feel exactly like Austin Powers in that scene.
And I was gonna say what you need is that theme song. Like now I don't know if George Clinton wrote that, but who wrote the theme song? The at the beginning, the one that's played. That one, yeah.
Yeah.
That one is so catchy. It is like I would say, in catchy theme songs, Film Cricket's one, and that one comes in second. Like if they're not,
Right.
if those two songs are not in your head when you're in the shower, I mean I can't help it. Those are just catchy theme songs.
Yeah. there's-
Well, I'd love to take credit, but it's Draco and the Malfoys, baby.
Maybe they wrote the Austin Powers theme song. You never know. We'll have to check.
You know, I got to tell you, if you guys want to know a story about that, I had been in the band. I had been in a band with one of the two brothers. There's two guys that are the main two people from Draco and the Malfoys, and we were in like cover bands when we were growing up, like after high school and whatnot, and we stayed in touch here and there a little bit, mostly through Facebook, and so when this came about, I reached out to the one I was closest with, but he's like the toughest guy to get a hold of, just when it comes to like Facebook, so I was also friends with his brother on Facebook, so I was like, hey man, like I'll reach out to him, see if he'll and he was the one that got, so he and I started the conversation, and he gave me like 3 different options, because I showed him kind of like a song from a podcast that I love. I was just like, something. Just, it doesn't have to be long. Here's the weird part. It's like, it doesn't have to be long. Yeah. And he gave me 3 different songs. And the first one I heard was a stripped down version of this, the one that we all love. And I just like fell instantly in love with it. So anything else after that was going to be not gonna, it was just gonna pale in comparison, just because I was all like, this is so good. So I just thought that, and one day, what I could try to do, I can try to locate the original and play it for you guys.
Yeah, that'd be
it's
funny.
Just like I said, it's like a stripped down, him by himself with like a couple of extra instruments, and then the whole thing was everybody that you hear on that song is just 2 guys.
Oh wow!
Playing different
crazy.
stuff,
Yeah,
and
so
like
good.
and layering
It's
it
very
and stuff
catchy.
like that, and
It's super catchy.
yeah. So I'm ultra proud of them, and I couldn't be more thankful, because we're very lucky.
But that Austin Powers theme song, it's still played today. I go to hockey games, and they'll play it at the hockey game, and it's just a great song, and it's just so catchy. And at the beginning, how do you not want to dance to that song when it comes on? It's like,
I
and
know.
you can do the stupidest dance, but it works. It's like, it really does. Anything will work to that song. But it's just funny. He's dancing with the cop and everything, and it's just a lot of fun. And that theme song was pretty cool.
They had the best music score, I think, this entire thing. Like literally every single song that they played was absolutely perfect and in the right exact spot. Like I think the music through this whole movie was amazing. They did such a good job with it, and that part was so funny.
Right, but even like Steve was saying about just that song just making you want to like get up and dance, and being played to get, like I had a bunch of Just Dances when I was a kid. That is on Just Dance, like that theme song is on Just Dance, like the game, and like it constantly. I just every single time I hear it, I think of Austin Powers first, and then I think of the song being on Just Dance, and then it's funny though, because like this movie is so like not the most kid friendly, but I mean I grew up watching it, but like I do remember like having like friends over and we'd go to play Just Dance and I'd be like, oh, I like this is the Austin Powers song, and they'd be like, what? And I'm like, it's good, like like.
Well, it's got no lyrics, right? So it's all it's all
just
music. There's no.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes people need like lyrics to kind of but this is just like one of those, almost like a 70s styled game show, right? Where they had those, where they just it just it when you hear it, right? They're just so catchy.
Well,
and there's no lyrics.
Yeah.
Well, I have some info for you, unless Melanie already.
Oh no, I don't have that. Go ahead.
Okay. A big producer named Quincy frickin' Jones.
He wrote that, or he produced
Wow.
it?
Yes.
Did he write it, or just
he wrote it?
He wrote it.
It's called. It says you may know it as a theme song from the goofy 1990s spy satire Austin Powers, but Soul Bossa Nova was actually an early hit by composer / producer, arranger, and all-around jazz character Quincy Jones.
Wow.
That's
So,
cool.
and Quincy Jones, if you're not familiar with that name, he is the guy who produced Thriller.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's talking about like you're putting the ultimate stamp. So that's not a big surprise. The guy who produced Thriller
Right.
probably helped write stuff from Thriller, probably,
That's awesome.
writes something like that is like, the most one of the most catchy little instrumentals.
And it was just
Right.
perfect
That
at
we
the
all
beginning of
know.
the movie too, introducing you to everything and having all the names go up on the screens and all the big colorful daisies and all this other stuff. It was really cute. They did a good job with that. Did you recognize, Jay?
I like the
thought
random
of you
dances.
with the character a lot of vagina, because do you remember seeing her in summer school? Do you remember seeing her in
Yes,
summer
I do.
school? Yeah.
Yeah.
As soon as I saw her face, I'm like, oh my God, I remember her in summer school. And then I love when
That's actually her name is actually
I wrote it down.
taken off of. Okay.
It's
All right. You can do it then.
no, right here, because I
I'd rather
couldn't
you
say
have-
it.
I'd rather you
I
say
wasn't sure if I could say it right, but she's Italian. It's
Well, you can't
No,
say
no,
that
no.
anymore.
I don't mean no.
That's been taken
What?
down.
No,
where?
no, no, no.
What?
No.
what?
No, I don't mean no. I mean the Alana character's name
Oh,
was based off of a James Bond character.
oh yeah, I know that. Yeah.
Yeah, you can say it though.
But oh no, I was trying to say her real name, and it was Fabiana Udinio or something. I just couldn't pronounce it right. So, but yeah, I remember her in that. And I love when Dr. Evil's like he disappears from almost like Emma was saying, trying not to get shot, and you think he's like. You think that he was like doing something evil or
like
trying to get
hiding
away or
from
doing
them,
something.
yeah.
No, he's looking for his cat so he can feed him dinner. And then he was like, Mr. Beaglesworth, and then he was like, meow 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 meow. He's singing like the Meow Mix song and shaking the bag of cat food.
Yeah.
That was so cute. I love
That
that.
was such a cute scene, yeah.
And then you guys see when number 2 was trying to run away and get away. He's like, I've had it with all this poor treatment and whatever. He's got a suitcase. And he had to stuff one of the fembots in there for himself. You can see like the suitcase with the like 60s boots sticking out of one side and the hair sticking out of the other.
Yeah.
That was funny.
And
Emma,
you
did you have like a couple things on your list there?
Oh yeah,
wonder-
also from that scene, yeah. I did have the like when who grabs someone first? So the Alana girl comes in with Vanessa and has her, and so Austin grabs Scott, and then he's like, I'll kill him, and Dr. Evil's like, what does he say? He says, kill the little bastard, see if I care. And then 2 seconds later, Scott's like, we had a breakthrough in therapy though, Dad. And he was like, whatever. And he goes, I wish I was never artificially created in a lab. And then right after he was like, oh, kill him, see if I care, Dr. Evil's like, oh, Scott, that hurts Daddy when you say that, honestly. Like,
That was
it's just so funny because like he's constantly trying to kill him, but also at the same time he's like, give your dad a hug. Like,
yeah. Right. And instead of saying, I wish I was never born, I wish I was never artificially created in a lab.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean,
That is so funny.
did they take him after like a real like world leader? Like, I don't know if whoever the leader was in North Korea or whatever, that was always in his pajamas or something. Like, is that something like did they kind of take it after someone like that kind of, all right, here's a guy that's seems like a little I don't know, immature or whatever, because he's not mature at all. Dr. Evil is just like,
no.
he really is like a child. But we don't
He
even
is.
know how old he is, right? So like, is he old? Is he not old? He looks older, he's bald and everything, and it looks like he has like a scar going down his face or something. So we
don't know
don't
where
really
that
know how
came
old he is, but
Yeah.
we know that he's definitely immature for his age, and for what would be like a world leader or a planet leader or whatever he was. Yeah, very weird character, but a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Mhm.
He is.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And then we were realizing too, in Elizabeth Hurley, like she gets away, but she has time enough to
yeah.
change her outfit and get hair extensions
Yeah,
before
like
she goes back to go save Austin Powers. She's got to have her hair extensions and a new outfit first.
Very true.
Right.
I mean, that happens.
Yeah. That was funny.
Yeah, I think it's also kind of like a, I mean, making fun of like an old spy movie, like that would do something weird like
Yeah.
that. Like, hold
Oh
on.
yeah.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
a lot of it for sure. Like in the beginning when he's at the swingers club, which has a very like long exaggerated. I can't remember what the name is. It's like
Oh yeah, something pussycat, something.
I can't remember what it is. It's so funny. It's
Begins
really
with an
long,
I. Something.
Anyway, but
Yeah.
like in that scene where he goes and like grabs that woman and like hits her, his assistant is like, Austin. She's like, but it's a man, and you can clearly see when it changes. Like when he hits the floor, it's clearly a man, and then they rip the head thing off.
Yeah.
It's just, it's a lot of it is like you can tell that they're making fun of old spy movies because like that was painfully obvious that that was a man at that point. Like,
Yeah.
there was a bunch of little things in it like that.
Yeah, I mean, instantly it looks like he knocked out Kurt Cobain. You know, he's on the floor, and yeah, I definitely thought the same thing. And the funny thing was when he did it again to that guy's mother, he goes, "Oh, it's my mother," and he punches her in the face. It's a man, and he's trying to take her hair off, and he's like, "That's my mother, Austin." Very funny, yeah, very funny.
He was saying, well, if that's a woman, she was beaten with an ugly stick.
Yeah.
Well, there was a Family Guy joke that there was a woman, but they used Alex Rocco, the actor, as the voice. So it was a woman. So but Peter was hearing this guy, speak and act like a guy. So he starts beating the crap out of it, right? Thinking it was a guy, and it was actually a woman. And they're like, "Oh no, she's going into labor." He goes, "You mean he's going into labor?" Right? And then he realizes it's a woman. It was just like, so something along those same lines. Like, it's like, wait a minute.
Well, they also had the Pat thing, right, on SNL. That was for years.
Yeah,
Oh my
That
God,
was a long running joke
Julia
about
Sweeney.
Pat.
Yeah, I loved her though. She was
Did
so
we ever
funny.
find out if Pat was? Did they ever reveal Pat? I
I don't
know.
remember.
I
I
don't
love
know.
that character though.
I don't know.
She was.
But there was an episode with George Wendt. George Wendt was a barber, and she shows up and says, like a haircut. And he goes, "Well, which one would you like?" And he's pointing to, like, he's going up and down with his hand, and it says male or female, like, haircut, and they're different prices. And she goes, "The usual." It was like never revealing who.
Yeah.
And I think they wanted to do it once, where she had to choose between a male and a female bathroom, and they, as she takes a step forward, they interrupt with NBC Nightly News, with the actual NBC Nightly News people.
Oh my God.
They're in on the joke.
Yeah.
And then when they come back, they're like, "Yay, we discovered who she." You're like, "Which one?" Like, you never get to see it.
That's
So,
funny.
obviously the same type of humor taken, from, because that's when Mike Myers was there. Like that style.
And the
Freaking
outfits are
genius,
amazing,
man.
that they show in the beginning from the 60s and all that.
Oh, yeah. Like all the, like,
I like the
models.
random dancing.
Yeah. Well,
Oh, yeah,
it looks
yeah.
like
Like
Goldie
the
Hawn.
random ones just out of nowhere.
That's how Goldie Hawn started, when she had her little tiny 60s bikinis with all the daisies and all these like love and peace signs written all over her body with that tiny little short blonde haircut. That's how she started. I remember watching that on my grandmother's TV. I think it was
What,
a
Laugh-In?
Teehaw. Oh, Laugh-In. That was it.
Laughing.
Yeah. So I remember seeing her just like that. Yeah. And it looked just like her. Like all those people in that club looked like her. It's like,
You ready for TMI?
yeah.
It's time for TMI with Melanie.
Listen to this. I am in the bathroom right before the movie starts. And I'm in the stall, and there's no toilet paper.
Mine are at home in a display case above my bed. TMI, my friends.
TMI?
Too much information.
Say don't go there, but that's lame.
Now, here's Melanie with your timeless movie info.
All right, Steve. Good job.
That was a lot of fun
Like,
making that.
you're like a ventriloquist.
I like that.
You're like a
drink.
ventriloquist, just sitting there saying it. I'm not even seeing the mouth move.
No, you know what? That was a lot of fun making that, and it was actually, it's one of those where as you're making it, you're just laughing. Like I couldn't even imagine making a full movie like this Austin Powers movie, because it's just so much fun. You're like, oh, that's funny. That's funny. Can add that. Can add that. All right.
Yeah. You did a
it's
good
just so
job
much
with
fun.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was trying to tell her recently about that toilet paper scene with Elaine in it. Could you please spare a square? That's where that's from.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
No, I
Funny-
can't. I have
funny
no spare to
episode.
square. I have
And
no
the other
spare
one,
to spare.
if you're wondering, the other one was from The Office. That's Steve Carell, who's
Yeah.
actually
Oh,
saying
okay,
TMI. Yep.
And just the music
Yeah.
in the background was perfect where you had it too. It was-
Yeah. That's the
Very
YouTube
good,
music, so we can't get in trouble.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
that's
always
it.
it's always nice to use something you can't get ripped off. Well, yeah, because every time we put something up, it's like, oh, sorry, you can't use that. That's copyright. So.
It took him 2 weeks to write the draft. He wrote it in '95, and He said that when he turned it in, he had to 10 pages of notes where he had to make changes, but he thought everything that was changed was better, actually. It made, the budget was $16.5 million. It grossed $67 million worldwide. It wasn't that big of a hit when it first came into the movies, but once it came onto the videos, then it just went crazy. He said that his character came from a lot of influences. His father, especially, and his parents loved watching British comedies like Peter Sellers and Benny Hill and a lot of things like that. So he said that the British television series Adamant Lives in 1966 was a strong influence behind Austin Powers. Meyers always wanted to play an English character in a comedy. He said one night he started flirting with, I can't imagine this household. Him and his wife must be the funniest people ever. Like, I would just die laughing thinking that my husband's like this. But he started flirting with his wife in an English accent. And his wife laughed so much and told him, go write that routine down. It's so funny. You got to do it again. And so he started writing that down, and it kind of led to the script of this movie. And then in the whole beginning, when you're talking about Steve with that music and they're all dancing and the cops and everything, his wife suggested that he dance in the beginning during the credits and throughout the movie because apparently in his house, he dances around his house all the time naked. And so, I mean, they just got to have the funniest household ever. And then doing that just became like a continuing trademark of the franchise. So he was always doing it. But I thought that was so funny. Did you have something to say?
Oh, I can totally see that. I mean, I think a lot of these actors, they're doing this like at home, right? They're just, is like, I don't think they just pop on a set and go, I'm going to try this. I think a lot of it is probably how they are. They probably are the weirdest people in a cool way that you'll ever meet, right? So it's like there's probably never a normal day. Hey, air quotes. There's never a normal day at their house because they're always kind of probably trying out the next thing and see what would work.
Yeah, I just thought that was so cute. So Dr. Evil's character, inspired by former Saturday Night Live, is it Lauren Michaels? Is that how you say it? Mm-hmm. And Dr. Evil's appearance, the bald head with the gray suit and the scar over his eye with the cat on his lap, is based on Ernest Stavro, who was actually played by Donald Pleasance, from Halloween.
Oh.
So his character is who inspired Dr. Evil.
Could you picture Donald Pleasance as Dr. Evil? How cool would that would have been?
Yeah.
He's so over the top. Could you picture him doing air quotes and going, like this, with the pinky in the mouth thing? That'd be pretty funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the way
Except
he
by
looked
96 or whatever.
Yeah, 1966.
By whatever age.
Yeah, he was pretty old.
No, but by the end,
yeah,
his voice was like Michael.
He did lose his voice.
It didn't really it was really bad. I'm not trying to make fun of him.
No, it was really very noticeable. Yeah.
Oh, totally. So I guess the way he looked was like that, but the way he acted was from SNL's his SNL boss there. And then let's see. Oh, the famous nude blocking scene that we were talking about with Meyers and Elizabeth Hurley took 25 takes because it was very complicated. And they said it took the whole day. It was one continuous huge take. Hurley said that Mike and I were nude, but we were covered with little bits of red sticky tape. And then we all know each other so well by then that we weren't self-conscious of each other. We were just, comfortable. The film originally got an R rating because of the nude blocking scene, and they had to cut a lot of stuff out like we were talking about. Let's see. Oh, my God. This is horrible. So Joe Sun, that Asian guy who played Random Tao, did you guys hear about that asshole?
I know where you're going.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, evil.
He is now
He's the real Dr. Evil.
He is now serving a lifetime prison sentence for the torture of a 19-year-old woman in 1990. So after he tortured this woman, he went off to make movies. And he went uncaptured until 2008 when DNA match was linked to him. According to the victim, she actually had this copy of this movie in her collection and didn't realize that it was him until later on.
This is the guy that threw the shoe? Like the guy that...
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So she had a copy of this, didn't realize it was him till later on. In 2017, he was sentenced to an additional 27 years for murdering his cellmate.
Wow.
Yeah. I couldn't believe that. Mike Meyers originally wanted Jim Carrey to play Dr. Evil, but Carrey eventually passed due to scheduling conflicts with Liar Liar in 97. so he took the role himself, thank God. Elizabeth Hurley and Mimi Rogers wanted those outfits that they were wearing, the tight leather outfits, and they were able to keep them. This is cute. And the Las Vegas bar scene where Austin flashes the peace sign and he's laughed at. Mike Meyers originally wanted Austin to be drinking a Zima to show how Austin Powers is desperately trying to be cool, but he's failing. In the movie, you can see him drinking Tab Colas.
Has anyone ever had Tab? That was my question. I don't know if you want to continue.
I don't remember.
Very bad.
Jay, you've had
Probably.
Tab. Emma, have you ever had Tab?
Yes.
I don't think it was still a thing when I was born.
I think it's still out there, actually.
Is it?
Really?
Jay, you're
No, I think
Is
it
it
got
out?
pulled a couple years ago.
it is
I
I think
disgusting.
it died a
Got
couple
it.
years ago.
As a kid, it was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
you know, I drink, obviously as a kid drinking a lot of soda. It's like, there's no such thing as a bad soda, right? Until you had Tab. It was like, whoa, what the hell is this? You know, it was like, yeah, Tab was
It
pretty
ended in
disgusting.
2020.
Oh, okay.
2020, yeah.
All right.
It got
Really?
discontinued in 2020.
So, I can't remember if I said this or not, but the real name of Mr. Bigglesworth was Ted Nugent. Did I tell you that?
No, Jesus.
No.
That's,
So, yeah.
Name.
That's awesome.
Mr. Bigglesworth was Ted Nugent, referring to the rock guitarist Ted Nugent. And
well, probably because
apparently,
of cat scratch fever, maybe?
oh, maybe, yeah. But apparently there were some delays with filming because the cat loved Michael Myers so much he didn't want to leave his lap. Every Austin Powers movie was released in the same year as James Bond movie. International Man of Mystery was and Tomorrow Never Dies were released in 97. The Spy Who Shagged Me and The World Is Not Enough were released in 99. Gold Member and Die Another Day were released in 2002. Daniel Craig, who was James Bond number 6, said that Austin Powers messed up or basically ruined, and those were nice words that I'm using, the James Bond film franchise. He thought the producers feared that the people would not be able to take James Bond seriously anymore after Austin Powers mocked the campy nature of the series, which led to the darker and grittier Casino Royale reboot. The rocket ship Dr.
Great.
Huh?
Great. No, I'm serious. That series,
Yeah.
the Daniel Craig series,
Yeah.
from beginning to end, is amazing.
Well, that's good that they
Well,
changed it.
do you think not another scary movie ruined scary movies?
No.
I mean, that was the same thing, right? They made fun of scary movies. But I don't think they did. I think that you come out...
No, you know what though, guys? Scary Movie and Naked Gun and stuff like that. Spoof movies are on their own. I wouldn't call this a straight up spoof.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like the same.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yes, it was a spoof, but it wasn't. It didn't feel like
Spaceballs.
like the way Naked Gun, Spaceballs. It didn't feel like that. Like, it felt almost original.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like, because we're not familiar with some British, cinema or whatever. But like, also, Austin's not specifically based on somebody that we're familiar with.
Right.
Like, even if it's James Bond,
Right.
he's
His
not
character is
acting like
totally
James
different.
Bond.
Yeah.
James Bond doesn't walk around like acting like that. Like, so in those movies, they're actually trying to act like that person a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like I've seen one for Twilight, and there was a character that was acting just like Bella.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and then goofy shit would happen. But what I'm saying is, we still had a Bella character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, even she might not have been called Bella, but she was acting just like Kristen Stewart. So good.
Oh.
Sorry, I just
Okay. So let's see. The rocket ship that Dr. Evil uses is based on an actual figure that was mounted on the roof of a Big Boy restaurant in Scarborough, Ontario, Canada, where Mike Myers grew up. Austin Powers shares a story. This is weird because I never heard of this before, but it's funny. Austin Powers shares a story similar to Marvel Comics superhero Captain America. Both Austin and Captain America are men from a bygone era. Austin's from the 60s, Captain America's from the 40s. They both end up frozen. Austin voluntarily freezes himself, and then Captain America crashes into the Antarctic and freezes inside of ice. Finally, they're both woken up in the present day and resume their battles with their old foes who are now planning world domination. Austin battles Dr. Evil while Captain America battles Red Skull. So that's kind of a cool analogy thing that, I don't know, I never heard of it, but it makes sense. The Fembots actresses also had stunt extras to handle more physical maneuvers, but were not credited as Fembots in the cast list. They were voiced by Wendy Lee And Pamela Anderson auditioned for the lead fembot. Lois Chiles is the actress crushed by the steamroller. She's a former Bond girl. Larry Thomas is the blackjack dealer. He also played the role as the soup Nazi in Seinfeld. You remember?
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Walked by that place when I was in New York City. It's a real place. They're closed, but it's a real place, yeah.
Oh, that episode was so funny. Robert Wagner's role in the series is fitting because he has a connection to the two Bond girls. Lana Wood, the sister of his late wife, Natalie Wood. Can I say the wife he murdered? Sorry. Also appearing in Diamonds Are Forever in 1971, along with his present wife, Jill St. John. Mike Meyers considered writing and making Casino Royale in 1967. He wanted a type prequel to 1967 to the film. It had 2 sequels. The prequel would have most likely taken place in the 1960s, very early, before Dr. Evil and Austin were frozen. And it would have detailed Austin and the beginning of his career as a secret agent, as well as his first battle with Dr. Evil. And then I just said that the music in this is amazing throughout the entire thing. And I found out today that Demi Moore she produced this and other Austin Power films. So,
somebody hit her with a big laser.
But can you believe that Demi Moore was one of the producers of this film and the other Austin Power films? I never knew that.
Yeah.
Anybody know that?
No, I didn't know that either.
Now, the Abdal Big Boy is gone, right? Is that they're out? There's no longer an Abdal Big Boy chain, I don't think. Are they done?
No, that's not a thing anymore.
I don't know. No. The big boy one with it was that was in Canada, so I don't know.
No, it was in America. I used to.
Oh, really?
Who didn't rub the belly of the big boy before you went into the restaurant? It was like this big thing on the side of.
I thought it was Bob's Big Boy.
No, Abdal Big Boy. I had one right in a couple towns away from me, and absolutely.
Seriously?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was, and that was the actual big boy that was his rocket ship. That was the same thing that was outside of the main entrance, and you can,
I mean, he looked familiar, but they did. I see a ton of them here. Let me see where they're from.
I think they're out of business now. I don't think they're there anymore, but yeah.
Founded in 1936, it said. I don't know where. It said, Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana, Tennessee, Florida.
We had one in Massachusetts. Yeah.
Did you really?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Wasn't that in something else, too? Was that in King of Queens?
No, it was similar, though. Where
somebody was beating up somebody.
He beat the crap out of it. It was like he was in a drive-through and he hit it with a baseball bat, and the guy was like, "Is that all you can do?" And he's like hitting him.
What was that?
That was King of Queens. Yeah, I don't remember. I think it was a playoff of Abdal Big Boy, but I don't think it was the actual. I do.
I remember seeing that in something. Yeah. Yeah. He just looks really familiar, but yeah, that's all I got.
Well, if this will make you feel a little better. In regards to that guy Joe Son, the guy who was, who's spending his life in prison for torturing somebody in the whole 9 yards. He had a stint in UFC at the beginning when they basically had no rules, right? So he comes out, and the guy and he are wrestling, on the mat, and the guy looks over and goes, I see an open crotch, and just literally closed fist, just multiple punches right in the crotch. I'm telling you, deserved every punch.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
I can't believe he was able to go on filming and making movies and having fun after he did that to somebody. And then you can tell he's...
Well, needless to say, he tapped out.
but he's not the only one, right? I mean, obviously... We talk about Hollywood Nights, and now that guy did his time, right? But didn't he end up killing his wife or something?
The DJ?
Yeah, the DJ in real life.
Yeah, but that was like like he caught his wife with a guy and.
Well, sorry, but he has another one in here, and I know it's not proven, and I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but if you look up Robert Wagner and Natalie Wood's story, she did not get into that boat by herself and try to get away.
Absolutely not.
Don't believe that for a minute.
No.
Well, I just think, I mean, I don't.
You heard it here first, folks.
But he's not alone. There's other people that have starred and stuff. O.J. Simpson. I mean, O.J. Simpson will never be in another Naked Gun. The thing that's weird about this though is this guy did it.
Yeah.
Starred in all these movies, and then they were able to prove that this guy did it.
Yeah.
Let's do the final judgment.
It's time now for final judgment. Are you ready to rubber stamp this bitch? Here's the final judgment.
All right. Well, folks, up until this point, it has been about opinion, but now we're going to be talking about fact, and we're going to ask the one question: does this movie stand the test of time? Well, we're going to start with our guest. We're going to start with Emma.
Oh, okay.
And the kitty over there on Melanie's side. We're going to ask the kitty first, okay? That's the guest.
Is that Mr. Bigglesworth? Is that a cousin?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, this one has fur.
All right. Well, I think absolutely the movie stands up because, I mean, I'm 18. I obviously was not born when it came out, and I grew up with it and love it. Like I've loved it, and I've shown people like my boyfriend, for example. Like I showed him the movie, and he loved it so much we dressed up for it for Halloween. Like, and we constantly watch it, and we love laughing at it and everything. And just like, I feel like it's one of those movies that is so in its own kind of like, it stands in its own little bubble, and it can't be like this is out of date or something like that, because it's so funny and weird that it's not something that I think would go out of style. You're obviously gonna always laugh at it because it's not one type of comedy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it definitely stands up.
I agree.
Awesome. All right, now, Steve.
I guess we just
Melanie.
skip.
She just goes, I agree.
So I
No, I'm just saying, like that's where the end of it is. I agree. All right, now you.
So I'll say this. So I found the jokes funnier when I was younger. You know,
She's not really gonna go off of it.
no, you know, I will say that. By the way, Emma is about the same age as my nephew, and he listens to 80s. He loves Def Leppard and stuff like that. So God bless the two of you, right? Because you're gonna keep that going for us. So I think that is cool. And whenever I think of movies, I always ask Melanie, how did your daughters think of this? You know, what do they think of this? And what did Emma think of this? So it's like, because I'm not a good judge of what's good today, because some of the even jokes that I like, you could never say today. And I'm like, you can't say that anymore. Like, it's tough to have the world change on you, to be honest with you. You grew up in a certain way, in a certain thing, and it's very tough to say that you can't say that anymore, really? Or that's not funny? Really? It's not? So it is kind of a tough thing. I think that when I was younger, when I watched this movie, I was just, you know, at the legal age of drinking. Life was different for me. So I watch it now and go, okay, I can see why people thought that was a little ridiculous. However, I will say, I think that it holds up. I just think that I don't know if, so they've been talking lately of a Austin Powers 4, and he's been on a talk show. Even like last month, he was on, I think, the Tonight Show or something, and he's been kind of saying, oh, maybe there's going to be a 4. Maybe I'm going to write one. I don't know if a 60-year-old Michael Myers can talk about fart jokes and still make it fly. I'm not sure, right? So yeah, maybe he can. I don't know. So I'm kind of like in between on that. I think that if you let comedy make you laugh, he'll make you laugh. And you know what? When the whole thing in the tub, when he's like, and he farts, and she goes, "Oh my God, how dare you fart before me?" He goes, "Oh, I didn't know it was your turn, baby." You know, I mean, that's kind of funny, right? It's just funny stuff. So I think it does stand the test of time. I'm not sure if a 4 would come out and stand the test of time. I'm not sure. But definitely, it's still funny. It really is. But on record, I think I like 2 better. But but it was fun to go back, and I had to go back because I would have said jokes from 2 that weren't in 1. I'd be like, "Hey, I remember the time the rocket ship goes up, and he's like, 'Hey, Johnson,' and you know, obviously it's not in the first one. So similar jokes, but I thank God I went back.
We brought not that.
No, but
thank
God I went back to watch the first one because I do get them mixed up a little bit. That's all.
Yeah, I do too. I definitely get them mixed up a little bit sometimes.
And I forgot that Mini-Me wasn't in the first one. I actually forgot that. I'm like, where's Mini-Me? Like, what the hell? And because you're so used to Mini-Me now that it's so tough to go back, and he's missing in the first one. So.
Yeah, Mini-Me is awesome. And I think Fat Bastard's funny too. Or when he's like,
that's
I don't
right.
remember
Yeah.
corn.
Fat Bastard was very funny and very
he's
fat.
so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't remember eating corn.
Jay.
So no, but like we actually did skip over Melanie. We were like,
I'm
I
sorry,
was joking.
Melanie.
Because she went. I agree, and then I was like, okay, Steve. Like because it felt
I'm
like
sorry
she's not gonna, like,
if I
elaborate,
spoke out
so.
of turn.
No,
That's did I influence you, Melanie?
It
Did
was a funny
anything
moment.
I said tonight did it influence you to make you think maybe?
So I usually go off of, to me, something holds up. And so to me, first of all, it doesn't look dated. It's super colorful. It's placed, some of it's placed in the 60s, and then trying to get into the way that they're dressed, and their little spy outfits and stuff. That's that kind of a movie it is. So nothing looks like it's kind of dated in the movie besides like he's looking at his 60s car. That's from the 1960s. So that's not dated. The way he's dressed and a lot of it is obviously he's supposed to be from the 60s. And so just nothing to me looks dated, doesn't feel dated. The music score is amazing. To me, I kind of base things off of if you were to bring people over your house that has never seen this and sit them down and watch it, would they enjoy it? Would they laugh at it? If it would have come out in the movies today, and no one has seen it, would people be laughing in the movie theater? And I 100% say yes. And I think the jokes definitely still hold up just because of it's just good writing and really, really good actors and really funny facial expressions with these people. Just even a facial expression alone from one of these people is going to crack you up. Yeah. So I think it definitely holds up.
Awesome. I agree. I think it holds up. I think, like, I know even today, like this, maybe some of the jokes would like be a little over the top to some, but like not, I wouldn't say it's too much. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and, like, I think they also pull it off with some innocence. Yeah. That it's not like, meant to be offensive. It's more like, like there's moments, especially if Austin is delivering the joke. Austin is 30 years behind. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, so he can't tell. So like, it's funny. You know what I mean? It works on those levels. Mm-hmm. And nobody had done anything quite like this. Like I said, it didn't feel like a spoof. Yeah. Not in the way that a traditional spoof would be, like Airplane and, Naked Gun and all those like scary movie felt like, like weird and silly, or like this was like, it seemed like the story, yes, it was silly, but I mean, it was still like people that original characters didn't feel like it was based on people, even if they were. Mm-hmm. So I think that really helped it along, and Mike Meyers is phenomenal. So yeah, he's awesome. And I was actually, I gotta say, I know it's probably meant to follow how Bond always had a different girl in every episode. I was actually very disappointed that she was not the girl in part 2. Yeah. Like, I'm not, and nothing against Heather Graham. Yeah. I just like, I was hoping for another with her in it and other things, but I guess they were just doing what they did, and they made her a robot.
That didn't make any sense. That did not make any sense.
We didn't like that at all. I know they had to try to think of a way to get rid of her, but there's no way she was a robot. I mean, she was jealous of like, she was what's her face is Mimi Rogers' daughter. She had talked to her on the phone. She was jealous of him.
By the way,
another girl.
Good match.
Huh?
Yeah.
They look alike. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they look like they could be mother and daughter as far as their... But they look like they could be related.
But if a 4 came out...
Only like a 10-year difference.
But if a 4 came out, you would almost think that they'd have to go with a younger model, right? I mean, they probably would not... I mean, I haven't seen Graham or I'm assuming. I mean, this is.
I don't think she was in part
30
3,
years
right?
later.
Like it was Beyonce,
no, she was just in part 2.
Beyonce in it,
yeah. Yeah, Beyonce was part 3.
Yeah.
I mean, I would assume that
it's like the Bond girls. There's always a different girl.
Right. He would have to go with like a younger, whoever is. I mean, I don't know who would be a good character to do, nowadays. But I would say it would definitely be a younger actress.
Yeah.
And who knows what they're going to do with makeup? I mean, Dr. Evil's going to look the same because of all the
True.
makeup that they can put on him.
He was already old. Yeah, he was already old. Yeah.
You know, let's put it this way, guys. Mike Myers has already donned the baseball hat and the mullet and looked very good as Wayne.
Yeah.
Like in the last however many years. So he still does it. He still pulls it off. So I can see him definitely pulling off these characters again.
That's true. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Emma, for joining us. By the way, it's fun.
Of course, thank you.
I hope you had fun. Yeah. Well, that was our show. I'd like to thank Emma and Steve for joining us today. And normally I ask, tell us where we can find you. I think we know.
In her bedroom?
At Melanie's house.
Eating a Reese's
we're
peanut
not
butter
going to give that info out. We're not going to
Studying for exams. Yeah.
With the leftover Halloween candy.
Yeah, that's one good thing, especially with my kids, going for trick-or-treating. It's like, haha.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to also thank Steve for doing our intro and all our different voices, and Draco and the Malfoys once again for our theme music. And please rate, and subscribe to our social media and YouTube page. And we'd like you to please tell your friends about us. I am Jay Fortier, and on the behalf of the absent Chris Martineau and also Melanie Howerton, I'd like to thank you again for joining us here on the Film Crickets. And until next time, movies may not age like fine wine, but we drink them anyway. Bye.
See ya.
Chirp about movies.